Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, juliarene.
And Kendall Aaliyah.
And today, guys, we are talking about the 6 things that we learned from watching the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary.
6?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 6. I added an extra one.
Okay. I was like, it says 5 right here on our sheet, but okay.
Kendall's like, according to my calculations.
Yeah.
It's 5. I got a little excited, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know. Yeah, you're right, I guess. But yeah, watching this doc was great. I literally watched it I think the first week that it came out, and I just really wanted to talk about it.
I'm surprised it wasn't like advertised more because I didn't even know about it until you told me to watch it. For those not knowing what we're talking about, I think it's literally just called Arnold, right?
It's called Arnold, and it's like a 3-part series on Netflix, and it goes basically 3 different episodes. So the first episode is called Athlete, the second one is called Actor, and the third one is called American. So yeah, it literally goes through his journey. I just didn't even realize some of this stuff that was on this documentary. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that happened. And I don't think that I realized that he literally conquered 3 completely different aspects of life. Mm-hmm. And he's not even from America.
I think he was just just enough before our time to see him. We never saw him in our prime, obviously. We know him as the legend that he is now for bodybuilding, but we never got to witness that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, no. I was not even
not even a thought.
I wasn't even a thought. I don't think my parents even met yet.
Yeah, so I thought it was really cool to see his history. I thought that was amazing, if I'm being honest. So
obviously the first episode was the best. I mean,
talking about the athlete.
The athlete and the bodybuilder. It's just crazy. I mean, okay, a brief description of the first episode if you guys haven't watched it yet. Well, this is definitely going to be a spoiler alert. So make sure you watch it before listening to this, or just listen to this instead because it's probably more interesting.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to go into it enough, but it really was a well-produced docuseries. I don't know. Netflix keeps crushing it. So
yeah, they really do. They even just made it so real because they added actors to play him when he was young, and they played out his life in Austria and him as a little kid.
Side note, where he grew up is beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen, because my heritage is partially Austrian, but I've never looked at photos of Austria. So beautiful.
I only know from The Sound of Music.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Austria.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wonder if it was actually filmed in Austria, but it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
The more you know.
It's so beautiful there. But basically in this first episode called The Athlete, it shows up how he was brought up post-war Austria. It includes all his family life and how he gets into competitive bodybuilding. He talks about this, quote, lifelong talent for clearly seeing the path in front of him, which is such a gift, and I feel we do all have that. We just don't all listen to it.
Yeah.
And he discusses the difficult parts of his childhood, his father's role as a disciplinarian, and how his father really encouraged this a brotherly challenge against each other.
Yeah.
I had that a lot. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had that with my older brother a lot. We were both wrestlers, and we both were very hard-headed and just wanted to beat each other all the time. And I can see that, but I think his younger brother didn't really care. His younger brother really wasn't competitive. Older. Oh yeah, you're right. He was older.
He was the young. Yeah. I agree. I think the older brother was just doing his thing, and Arnold was this is a competition.
Yeah, he's we're just literally walking, and you're making this a competition.
But his dad even made them work for their food. He would have them do something to earn their food. Yeah. What? That was a detail that stood out to me because it showed him I think out in the field actually working in order to get his breakfast that day.
Oh my God. And now he's a bodybuilder who literally has to work to get food.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So I think I think that's proof enough. We've talked about our upbringing, influencing our behavior patterns and how we got into bodybuilding. And I think I could definitely kind of tell from how he was alluding to how his dad acts is that taught him the discipline for bodybuilding. That taught him you have to work for what you want. And yeah.
My dad was very much like that with my brother and me, not into the intensity as Arnold's dad was, where it was a slightly overboard. But my dad definitely, my brother and I were always in competition, but we loved that. And the difference is my little sister, she doesn't really care. She's I don't really want to compete for anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how that conditioned him to be the way that he is from learning, like working for things. And we'll go into a little bit later this like quote that he says that I really, really love. But basically it hits on like other moments, including like the 1968 victory once he won Mr. Universe. He literally ended up beating his idol because his idol growing up, was that he played Hercules?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hercules?
Wait, well now you're making me second guess it.
Did we even watch this doc?
Should I look it up?
Hercules. It was Hercules.
Yeah, like Roman Hercules, not like the
he
god.
Played him. Yeah, like he played him in a movie, and that was the first time he saw it, and he's like, "That's what I want to do." And he ends up like beating him in Mr. Universe,
like 10 years later.
Bro,
isn't that insane? I also another thing that stood out to me, like it covered his whole like competition journey from like his first show ever, and he had it all documented. Which like I know for a fact that man like kept a journal with like written what place he got, because like no way you could remember all of that. Yeah. He's obviously competed so many times, but again, so bad with names. What's his name? Something Frank Zane. Franco. Something like that.
God, Jesus. I was literally I had my dad watch the documentary, and my dad like grew up in the 70s and he like knows all their names, and he literally just told me the name.
I read his book. Like I should know him. Jesus. But anyway,
his best friend, the shorter guy with the dark hair. Franco something.
Is that who I'm talking about?
I'm pretty sure.
The guy who beat him.
No.
Anyway, okay.
All right, this podcast is over. We don't know what we're talking about.
Let's not use names because we're stupid.
We'll only know Arnold.
Arnold, essentially, in like basic terms, he started getting kind of on like a winning streak in his like country, and then he came to the U.S. and his first U.S. show, he was expected to win.
Yes.
And someone beat him. Yes. He got second place.
Yes.
His petty ass then invited the guy to beat him to move to California to be his training partner so that he could learn from him and then beat him.
I don't know if that's petty, but like...
It's not petty, but no. Yeah, I was like mostly joking. I just think that's like such a testament to... I don't know how to describe it. He really was willing to do anything it took to win.
Yeah, he was willing to just be like, okay, I lost. I cried about it. Didn't he say oh my God, he says, I cried the whole night. The next day I said, okay, you cried like a little baby, you asshole. Now let's move on. And Arnold is, the way that he speaks to himself is a lot like the way that I do. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people,
tough love.
Kendall, it doesn't work for Kendall.
Oh, I talk like that to myself. Okay. Other people can't talk like that to me.
Other people can talk like that to me. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay.
Stop being a little bitch.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, he lost to that guy and he was expecting himself to win, like to just come to America where bodybuilding is like unbelievable, obviously. And he got second place. And you're right. You learned a lot from that moment because he didn't just say, oh, like, I'm not going to even talk to this guy ever. Like, he's my enemy. He's my competition.
That's how most people would react.
It was like a enemies closer type of deal. Keep your enemies close.
He said, so like I needed to learn what he did to beat me. Yeah. So I'm going to invite him into my life and learn from him. And they did become friends. And I think they were similar to like a Kai and Phil Heath dynamic where it would be like kind of like always head to head. Like you knew that was the top two.
But they're still buds.
Like, but like which one was going to win, you know?
True. That's true.
Yeah.
It's like a healthy competition thing. You're right. I love Kai Green.
I do too.
I've taken a photo with him a couple of times
really?
And he's like literally my favorite because every time he sees you, he makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room. And he's like, hi. And he's like very just like sassy.
He's gotten into acting too. Wasn't he in Stranger Things?
What?
I swear.
I would have.
I said this the other day. We're pulling up Google. Okay, I don't care.
Google.
Edit this out, Ian, if you would like.
Yeah, anyways, he says that he cried the whole night, and the next day he just says, okay, he cried like a little baby, and you asshole, so let's move on. And he, like, literally, there was like a switch that just like flipped in him that day, and he's always had this, but it just like flipped. And he was like, I will not let that happen to me again. And he obviously brought his enemy close to him and he learned from him and he got better. And then he grew into this incredible bodybuilder. I think the number one thing that I learned from this section about bodybuilding is that bodybuilding can be used to shape your mind. I already knew that, but just hearing Arnold say it was like the GOAT say it. I was like, okay, thanks. I feel very validated.
He was in fact in Stranger Things.
What?
In the second season.
Oh my God.
He played like a tough guy. Anyway, sorry. I was fully listening, but yeah, he has gotten into acting. I feel like it's a common rule now. Okay, you can continue. Sorry.
I'm definitely going to do that. Anyways, but the quote that he says that goes along with this. He says, the idea was to sculpt the body to your will, but it can also be used to shape your mind to do the things that everyone calls impossible. I had a fire in my belly for so much, much more, which is just freaking wild. I mean, the GOAT is saying that you can use this as a vehicle for transformation, and it is very true. If you use this sport and your passion for it to do good and to serve others and to inspire people to do the impossible, which is exactly what Arnold does and is still doing. That's why he has a legacy. That's why he still like gives back. That's why he's still very part of the bodybuilding community, is because people look up to him because he's made an impact on everybody.
Yeah. And that's what he set out to do from the beginning. Like he didn't just like say in the beginning, like, oh, I saw this guy, the guy who played Hercules, and I wanted to look like him. No, he said, I researched and I saw that he became this huge actor because he won a bodybuilding show. So I'm going to win a bodybuilding show and I'm going to become an actor, and then I'm going to be famous and motivate other people. Like he didn't just see it as like what it like was at face value. He like dug deeper and then made it his life mission and then did the damn thing.
He literally just did every single thing he said he was going to do.
And beat the guy he was looking up to, which is just insane. But like, I think that's such a testament of kind of like what you said in the beginning about like seeing
the path that's in front of you.
Exactly. Like some people can kind of see it and they're like, oh, okay, like I'll work towards that. He was like, no, like I'm going to do this and then this and then this. And then he did it. And
that's
I feel like
what's gonna happen.
That's so motivating. I don't know. I was very inspired, like listening to him talk, because the way he talks about things isn't in a sense of like, oh, I'm like, that's my goal. Like he almost is like, no, I'm going to be the best in the world.
Yes. He just knows it. He embodies it. Like it's already his. It's just a matter of time. And like, we all have this power within us to literally draw the things that we want into our life. Some of us just are scared of it. And like, we're spiritual beings. Like we are connected to everything that is around us. So if we want something, we can literally put it out there. Anything that you don't have right now is because of you. There's tons of excuses that you can make, like my upbringing, you know, this and that. You can play the victim, but at the end of the day, the things that you don't have in your life, the emotions that you want to feel that you don't feel, the relationship that you don't have, it's all comes down to you taking extreme ownership of where your life is at and why you don't have the things that you have.
Mic drop after that one.
Real. The other thing that I learned in the bodybuilding section, well, the athlete episode, was mental fortitude. I mean, his ability to just like get back up after losing. Because look, it like after you have a winning streak and you lose, like it's a very big ego hit. Yeah. And some people just, that is it. I have lost. Oh, maybe this isn't my thing. You go into the fear. You start being embarrassed. He just got up the next day and was like, we're still going. We're going after that. And he came back with vengeance in a way that was like, like I just imagine him as like a lion, just like, coming through. Oh, that was like,
how did you make that sound?
I don't know. I really, really don't. Anyway, so he didn't let it stray. He didn't let that loss stray from his goals. Like he still kept going on. And this is something that we can all learn from, is that there's going to be setbacks in this journey. It's not going to be linear, and just to have the mental fortitude to get back up. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect each time. You don't have to kill it each time, but you just have to keep getting back up. And that's what he did. Through this whole series, you hear about everyone telling him, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. But he keeps getting back up, and look at him now.
I think it's like a good reminder too, like this isn't just for bodybuilding. Like obviously he's things. Like a huge like Olympic winning athlete, but like you could apply that to even just like your approach to the gym daily, or like your career or your relationships, like whatever it is. Like I think it's just inspiring to see like having a clear-cut plan and actually sticking to it and like doing the thing.
For sure. It was so crazy. That was my favorite.
That was my favorite episode too. Yeah.
And then we go into episode 2, which I liked because something that I've wanted to do after bodybuilding is definitely get into acting and like be the token muscular lady. I really want to do that.
I'm also not opposed to getting into acting. I've had this conversation.
I know that it would be really difficult because like you have to be so in touch with your emotions, and oh man, reading lines seems so hard, but everything seems so hard when you're a newbie. So just like bodybuilding, I'll learn how to do it.
True. Look at Arnold.
The man
could barely speak English.
He could barely speak English. I'll be back. Anyway, so in this episode, he makes the switch from bodybuilder to actor. He literally said, I was bored of winning and I wanted something else. Like, that's so fucking wild. I was just bored of being the best, so I wanted to be the best in something else.
How easy.
It seems easy, but Yeah, probably not. So he turns to acting, and many people wouldn't hire him because he was too big. Like his physique was just like too big for the screen.
Yeah.
And his English wasn't great either. And he says it was a weird adjustment to go back from bodybuilding, to becoming an actor. I mean, his first chance as an acting role was a novel turned film called Stay Hungry, and it was written by Charles Gaines, and it was about a life of a bodybuilder. So physically, he fit the role perfectly. So the people saying that he was too big, it was like it didn't really matter because he finally found a role that was for him. And he really worked on like his accent and like acting classes. He was doing acting classes at night. He was training during the day. And then 1997, Pumping Iron became a sensation. We all know Pumping Iron. Like we've all watched it.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't, you have to.
Yeah, I would watch that and then watch this one if you're going to watch any of the Arnold films.
Yeah, and I think the thing too that I didn't realize is that Pumping Iron, when it was released, was Arnold's way of showing the world what bodybuilding is, because bodybuilding isn't very widely known. Like it's not like basketball or football or golf, like one of those sports. But
it's a niche sport. It's very small.
Yeah, it's a very niche sport, and he brought it to the world so that people can see it. So someone who's not even from America helped bring the American sport of bodybuilding to the general public.
Yeah.
Which is freaking awesome. So the number one thing that I learned from this was don't be afraid to dream, because like he just goes from thing to thing. Like he dreams it and he just like goes to it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that most people, when they have these dreams, they like start as like a whisper, and you just know that it's the life that you're supposed to live. Like you keep hearing it, and most people just give into the fear and they just don't. Yeah. They start living like a life that actually wasn't theirs to live. And then they're like 50 years in and they're like, I'm not doing any of the things and I don't have any of the emotions that I actually want to feel.
Exactly. It's either from doubting yourself or you do try a little bit, but then you fail and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't for me. Like, I think this is sheer proof of, again, he set out when he was like 15, I'm going to win a bodybuilding show and then I'm going to be a big actor. Like he knew that was his path and he stuck to it. And he had people, like if you watch this episode, you see people are like, oh, he doesn't have the facial expressions. He doesn't have like the emotional capacity to be a good actor. He doesn't have the English skills to be a good actor.
He's just a bodybuilder.
Exactly. And he just like continued working at it because he like saw it as a challenge. Like he was a very big like challenge seeker, I guess. Like he wanted to prove people wrong, which I respect.
That's me.
Yeah.
People are motivated in different ways. It's just like how are you going to be motivated? And he's very much like that. Arnold was a really good representation of listening to that whisper, no matter how scary it is. Like he knew, and you could hear it like at a young age, he heard it, he listened to it, he went for it. Then he heard it in the acting and he wanted to go into acting. He heard it, he listened to it. He never let fear or other people's opinions of him dictate his future because he knew what his future was going to be like. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Which is freaking wild. Okay, then we move into episode 3, which honestly I wasn't that intrigued in.
I told Julie I didn't finish this one.
I was like, I wasn't that intrigued.
You can take the wheel.
Just because politics is like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of boring.
I'm far more interested in like, obviously episode 1, like the athlete space, but acting is still like intriguing. And then we got to this. I was okay.
Yeah, especially like all the behind the scenes stuff, like with the acting and like how he was on set and like the line "I'll be back" was not his first choice of picking. He was going to say "I will be right back" or something, and the director was like,
"It wouldn't be the same."
He says, "No, you listen to me, I'm the director." And now it's like his most quoted line. So in this episode, he moves now from, I guess he's bored with acting. He's bored with making
I'm gonna be a politician.
Millions of dollars, and he wants to be a politician. He runs for governor of California. And according to him, the same level of naysaying he experienced earlier in his career was what drove him to run in the first place. Again, this pattern of like him hearing no's and him saying, "Oh yes." So yeah.
I feel like you also see like he loves America, like more than Americans love America. Like he talked about as a child, like I think his dad went to war or something. This isn't like episode 1, but just to backtrack a little. And when his dad came back, he like had this revelation of like, I'm not meant to live in Austria. Like I'm meant to live in America. So he did everything he could to even get to America, which is why I think I understand why he wanted to get into politics, because he was just like passionate about like what America had to offer. So I think it's cool. It's just definitely like a weird path.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, he's the ultimate expression of the American dream.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because he realized like the amount of opportunities that he could have here, especially because his career started off in bodybuilding and it was really big here, and what it could do for him. And he's just a perfect example of it. That's probably why he loves it so much, because of what America provided for him.
Is Sebum going to be the next president?
Sebum is...
If he's on this path,
the new Arnold. Sebum's the new Arnold.
Exactly.
Like the way that people look up to him and admire him and like the impact that he's already making, he's definitely the next Arnold. I think he's a little bit more of a sensitive Arnold, which is what this generation,
which I think that makes him even more,
you know what I mean?
Like more likable, intrigued.
You mean more of a savage?
Yeah, more of a savage.
More of a savage. Anyway, so he says in the American episode, he says, the very agents and managers that said to me in the 70s, you will never make it, don't even get into acting, are the same people who said, are you crazy? You're making 20 to 30 million a movie now, but the more someone says you can't, or that it's impossible, the more excited I get over it. I felt that in my soul. I was like, oh yeah?
Watch me.
Watch me, bitch. I think you just made a TikTok about that too. Yeah.
I did. Because I am a similar way. I do know I'm sensitive, but if someone tells me like, oh, you can't do that, or oh, like you're not going to be good at that, it makes me want to do it so much more just to rub it in that one person's face. So if he's being told by like thousands of people of like, you're not going to succeed at this, I can only imagine like, I guess the feeling of once you accomplish it, how that would feel.
Yeah. Probably very, very, surreal. Very motivating. I mean, the one thing that I learned in this section was don't care about what people think, because you hear time and time again that people are just doubting him on each phase of his life, and he continues to just keep showing up because he has that clear vision. I mean, it's crazy because in bodybuilding, they told him that he would never make it in American bodybuilding. And then he becomes 7-time Mr. Olympia. They told him he was too big for acting, and he became one of the most profound actors in his time. They told him that you're just an actor, you'll never make it in politics, and he did it twice. He got elected twice. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to get elected that second time. I didn't even know. I was still too young.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, he didn't just win once, he won twice.
He's a person of the people.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think what was really intriguing about this part is because, yes, I'm younger and I didn't really hear most of the drama that happened around his life. But he also discusses like some of the darkest moments in his life, like including the story that what was it? Oh, the story about his wife and his kid and the affair that he had and stuff like that. And like the allegations towards women. Like I didn't know about any of these. So it was just, I was learning it for the first time. But he reflects on his infidelity and about his ex-wife. And then the quote,
I respect him for talking about this.
I definitely didn't think he was going to. I'm going to be honest. I was like,
most people wouldn't.
I mean, usually when people film documentaries, they want them to be just like showing about how great this person is and how like amazing it is. But he doesn't stray away from talking about these moments. And the quote that he said about it was, people will remember my successes, but they'll also remember my failures. And it's so true, is that they're gonna remember both probably as equally. So he might as well just be true and basically just have, what's the word? Taking extreme ownership. That's what I learned from this, is like taking extreme ownership over the things, like the hardships, maybe the mishaps, the things that you said that hurt somebody, that hurt other people, like taking extreme ownership of it.
I think that helps you move forward anyway in like any aspect of anyone's life. Like if you're just like pushing things under the rug and not like addressing them or like being honest with yourself and the people around you, like it's harder to stay on the right path because you feel like you're like kind of lying about everything.
There's like this little cloud that's always over you, and it's almost like you're just afraid that someone's going to find out this one thing. If you don't have anything for people to find out and you're just open,
you can live more freely.
And you can just live more freely without feeling like that there's this shadow. And that's what I learned from this American episode, was like just taking extreme ownership over your trials and tribulations. And then the last thing I think was my favorite. He says, be useful. And this was the quote that his dad said. And to me, what I got from that was be in service to others, like be of use to others. I mean, that's why we were put on this planet, is to help each other out and to all be here connected. It's just that so many things have told us that that's not the case and that we're all separate, especially right now. And
I think that's like a testament to him being such a huge role model in the fitness industry, because he could have easily like had his moment of fame. Like there's tons of competitors and other athletes in other fields who like have their peak and then they retire and they're done. Like he doesn't have to put on his show every year. He doesn't have to show face at conventions. He doesn't have to give awards and speeches at like the Olympia. He doesn't have to do any of that, but he wants to be like that role model for like our generation, which he is. And like you see that in other sports, like Michael Jordan. I don't know if you know this. I've learned a lot about basketball from my boyfriend now. He doesn't even go to games. He doesn't attend any games. He also like used to own a team and he just pulled out like his ownership, like gives nothing back to the sport, which is like, people don't really know why, but that's so easily done by a lot of people in like an Arnold position where like you're the best of the best. You don't owe anyone anything. And instead I feel like he constantly like gives and gave back.
Yeah, he definitely does. And you still see him. Like I was just watching this morning a video of the last Arnold show, and he's there on stage giving awards, giving speeches. He's always at the Olympia. Like he's there. He's a big reason why this sport became as big as it is, and he's very much still a part of it. And it's really cool because he's being useful in the sense of like being in service to others and all these aspects of his life that he's succeeded in, which I think is awesome. And we can all learn from that. Yeah. Because even though you might not think you do, you have something to give and to provide this world. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. It literally doesn't matter what it is you're doing. How are you serving others in your community? Like my mom serves others by doing hair. She's a hairstylist and she's literally people's therapist. She makes them feel beautiful. She makes them feel cared for. Like Kendall and I do it by doing this podcast. You know, Zach coaches men who struggle with porn addiction, like all of these things, whatever aspect it is that you do, how are you being in service to other people? How are you being useful? That's what I learned about Arnold.
Important.
Yeah, those were my faves things that I learned about that documentary. I'm curious to know what you guys thought about it. Definitely send us your DMs or your emails at knowyourpowerpodcast@gmail.com. Also, though, if you have any more funny gym stories, people are loving the episode so far, and we've already gotten a lot more in, but email them to knowyourpowerpodcast.
Please. That was my favorite episode. If you haven't watched that one yet, please go back to last week's episode and watch it, because it is the funniest. We told the embarrassing gym stories. Yeah. And there's this one clip where me and Julia are actually peeing our pants.
Yeah, actually dying, and my butt was sweating.
You were so sweaty.
If you haven't watched the YouTube one, just watch
Please
that.
do. It's so funny.
But as always, guys, we love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.
Bye.